Okay, we're back. More with Greg Steube. Greg, we're going to find out a little bit about your thoughts and your background with our what we call Clout soul-searching questions. If you could have dinner with any famous person in history, past or present, who would it be?
I think without hesitation, I would have to say Abraham Lincoln, for all of the issues that he faced while he was president, all of the trials and tribulations that he went through before becoming president. I definitely would love to sit down and talk to him, get his advice, his counsel, and his leadership.
Okay, that's mine too. So you're one for one.
I'm good? Yeah, all right.
How about, you won't say the same as me on this one. How about your favorite band? What kind of music do you like? You know, and just give us an idea.
I grew up listening to a lot of country, but these days I'd have to say that alternative rock is more my genre. So I listen to a lot of Linkin Park, Stained.
You were on my website, weren't you?
Oh, no. Was that one of the ones that was on your website?
Yeah, you just named like my second and fourth favorite
good. So
band,
I'm two for two now.
You're two for two.
Awesome.
I'm going to vote for you so far. Why don't you tell us, you know, negative campaigning always comes up. Every time you do candidate forums, which you're going to start doing a lot more as you get closer to the election, you always have somebody who stands up and asks every candidate, hey, are you going to do negative campaigning? Are you going to attack your opponent? And how do you feel about sort of negative campaigning?
I've never been a proponent for negative campaigning. Even when I was involved in politics on campus at the University of Florida, I didn't agree with it. And I think that if you just talk about the facts and get your issues out there and talk about your background, that's the most important thing.
So you're going to stay positive. That's the game plan.
Absolutely.
Okay. Some of the issues now in the legislature right now, which could come up next year. A lot of these things seem to come up year after year. The first issue I want to talk about was actually something that's been in the papers a lot the last few days, and that is this battle going on between the judiciary and the elected clerks of court. Clerks in court are elected in Florida, and I guess they're battling over who's going to control the docketing and some of the court documents, and they're also battling over who controls the budget. Right now, the clerks of courts don't submit their budget to the legislature. They submit it to, I guess, a committee of their own. The judges want the clerks to be more accountable.
Right.
I know this is kind of a tough issue here, but how do you come down on it?
Well, I think, and I want everybody in the community to know, I feel this way about every issue, that I will go and talk to the people that is most affected by whatever issue it is, whether it be Chief Judge Hayworth or whether it be Chip Shore in the current circumstance. I think it's important to get their advice and understanding of their specific issues before I would make any decision. Yeah. But I think it's important, I actually agree with the Sarasota Herald-Tribune's article and putting together a commission that can look at all of the issues from both sides and come to a better economic way that we can approach this. I'm all for government. If we're overlapping in the duties, for example, it stated that there's a lot of duplication of efforts both in the courts and both in the clerk's office. If we could get rid of that and make it more economically beneficiary for everybody, I think that's a great way to go. But I think we need to look at experts and have some type of commission set forth to look into and do the necessary research to come to a logical conclusion. I don't think that we should rush into any decision at this juncture.
Yeah, especially one that's as touchy as the court system.
Right.
But, the next question comes up a lot, seems to be coming up a lot more lately, and that is we have these constitutional officers in Florida, which is a kind of a quirky thing about Florida. We have property appraisers, clerks of courts, tax collectors that are actually elected, not appointed by the governor or anything. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that concept? There's been a lot of talk in the legislature about having those people be appointed instead of elected. What do you think?
I absolutely feel that constitutional officers should be elected. I think you learn an incredible amount about the process, your constituency, the people that you would be serving if you're elected. If you're appointed, you kind of lose that element. And I don't think there's any research out there that shows that an appointed official is any better or worse than an elected official. And I think we're doing our Constitution justice by electing those individuals.
Greg, one of the things you're going to hear a lot on the campaign trail, I can guarantee you this, especially from Republican primary voters, is about illegal immigration. And there are some bills in the legislature to toughen up the laws and to make them tougher. One of the things that they've talked about is actually going after employers, people who hire illegal aliens, either criminalizing them or giving them stiff civil fines. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that that's much more of a federal issue than it is a state issue with immigration, and that there are a lot of immigration laws that are currently out there federally that just need to be enforced. I don't know if necessarily we need to go back and redo things that aren't currently being enforced. So I think that's something to look at. You know, the federal, Vern Buchanan and those type of folks have more of a play in this than the state does. But I think it's important to look to the law that's already there. And I also think it's important to establish for, say, agricultural industries, some type of guest worker program or some type of program that allows them to do what they need to do, but at the same time follow our immigration laws, the current.
That was in some of the immigration reform bills, I know, was the kind of a guest worker documentation system that it didn't pass. The 911 bill, we had a guest on our show. Did you hear about the Denise Amber Lee case in Northport, the mother who was abducted and killed? Yeah, it's a sad case. We had her husband on. He's pushing this bill to make training mandatory for anybody who's a 911 operator. Right now, it's not mandatory that they have training. A lot of the sheriffs are against it. We had Tom Knight on. He said he was for it if it was funded by the legislature. Your dad's the sheriff of Manatee County. And I know Nathan Lee feels that that's just an excuse, not to pass the bill is because it's, calling it an unfunded mandate. Right. What do you feel about the 911 bill?
Well, I think, and I've actually talked to my father about it, and got his counsel on some of these issues as well. But I think what's important is to have a statewide template put together by, say, FDLE that has a specific standard of what all of the 911 operators should be doing. And then that way there's something across the board that we can train them on. Because it's hard to have rules and standards when it's different in cities and different in counties and everybody's kind of doing different things. But if there was a statewide template that FDLE or somebody put together, I would be in favor of making sure that all of the 911 operators were trained in that. And I think public safety is something that's very important and is important to my campaign, especially with a family in law enforcement.
All right, we'll take our last break, and when we come back, we'll have our final segment with candidate Greg Steube and, of course, our Weasel of the Week.